Yeah, we got rain. We got like ½ inch, 6/10. And with what's out there, that's enough to stop us for a few days like we thought. And they're still forecasting rain. So we're going, what should we do with ourselves? Do we just do nothing and wait? Or do we make Big Brute better? I think we're gonna go Big Brute. So we actually have a lot of acres to spray, guys. A lot of acres. And we only have one sprayer because Big Brute's down and you guys know all about that. So I think we're gonna grab that Terragator, we're gonna pull that tank off, and we're gonna see if we can get Big Brute set up in like 3 to 4 days. So it's ready to spray by the time we get back in the combine.
Hey, your shoulder's on my shoulder.
It's not like we have a 4-seater on the farm.
Yeah.
All right, the Terragator. If you guys didn't watch, we bought this at an auction for 2,200 bucks. It's an 84? 84, we'll call it that. It's got a 1,500 gallon stainless steel tank on it. That's gonna replace Big Brute's 1,600 gallon plastic tank that is cracked and a big mess. But we gotta rip all this stuff off. Like, all the booms are coming off, everything that's in the way is coming off. It's all just gonna come off. And then we can get the frame off, and then we can evaluate. We've already did some measuring. It looks like we're gonna barely be able to fit this tank between the cab and the back boom supports on Big Brute. So as far as we can tell, I think it's gonna work, but we're gonna have to move the hydraulic tank on Big Brute to a different location, which we have a spot, I think, figured out. So let's get the Terragator started. Let's get the tank off. Maybe we'll rot it around a little bit in the mud, spin some Brodies, donuts, cookies, whatever you guys call it, and then get Big Brute ready. It's gonna be fun, guys. Let's go. You ever driven this before?
I mean,
he hasn't driven it yet, but he has driven a lot of big red 3-wheelers. So if he's certified in that, I think he can take this thing on.
go for it.
Try it again. It must just drain back the fuel. It'll go, don't worry. It's sat all summer here. Oh, I saw a smoke ring. Now we gotta figure out how to disassemble this thing. I see a couple pins here and there we can take out, or we can plasma cut it all off. We got a new plasma cutter if you guys didn't know, and it is amazing. It cuts like 1-inch steel. Pretty unreal. Our old one had a hard time with a 1/4 inch. It's a beast. It's gonna make this job nice. Would you just cut one?
Yeah, this thing's a hydraulic line. That's huge. That's not a...
I was sitting there, the boom all of a sudden sunk down, the leg arms jumped, and he just cut a hydraulic line. Good job, buddy.
It's huge. Look at this thing. That thing is a hydraulic hot. I thought it was...
All right, well, I guess we won't use the hydraulics.
It's for chemical.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna start working on these pins, getting these pins out. Some of you are probably like, that was a good boom, I just cut that up. Because it's good iron, and we're gonna cut it up and use it for a lot of good stuff.
yoink you. Just give it to me.
Okay, 2 booms down. Now we gotta figure out how to take the back of this whole cradle unit off. I'm sure it's not terribly hard when we have a plasma cutter, but we'll try to unbolt as much as we can. Now, granted, there is some pretty old sprayer tech in this thing. It's an old Raven system, which actually, if you guys didn't know, C&H Industrial acquired Raven recently for a lot of money. So that's pretty cool to see Raven. Raven's a good company. But besides that, I'm taking all these harnesses out. We're gonna try to keep them in one piece because all the valve bodies in the back is all together. And rather than just chopping everything up and then someday down the road, you're like, oh, we could use that system. We need to splice it all back together again. We're gonna keep it together as much as possible. That could hurt a tire. He's smart. He uses a rag when he touches that stuff. I've washed my hands like 4 times now. I don't know how that happened. Just scooting along and it just fell through. All right, so I disconnected the forks and we'll leave it in there for now. I'll have to get the plasma torch out and chop up enough and get that freed. That is, it's like one of those puzzles, you know? Can you get the little loop out of the little string off the little rope, you know, and you got to twist and turn and pull and find the combination? Yeah, that's what happened there. There you have it. The boomless, just tank. That tank's coming off. Now we got to figure this part out. How do we peel the tank off this thing? Okay, he's gonna finish cutting off a little bit of the brackets that hold on there. I'm gonna go get the 844 front end loader because that's probably the best thing to lift that thing up with, because we know that thing's gonna be able to lift that up. It could lift that whole truck off the ground if we wanted to. So I'll get the 844 and we'll pick that whole tank assembly frame up. There's a couple spots we gotta cut off, like all the fenders, all kinds of stuff we're taking off of it. But so far so good. Only in this about, what, hour and a half? I just looked at my wrist, so I don't have a watch. That one actually looks a little low. It's also sitting in a mud hole. That could be a problem too.
One fender down. Let's cut another one.
Would you say one finger down?
Well, we're kind of one finger down, but
Oh.
anyways, let's chop the other side because that seems like the most logical thing. Oh, I love that plasma cutter. I wish we had that years ago.
Now that our fire hazard is about, well, let's just say there's puddles everywhere, so we're not gonna have a fire time soon. And the forecast is gonna be like this for the next 3 or 4 days. Let's go to empty Big Brute. It's full of some nasty water. Dump it on the ground and then get ready to rip that tank off of it. Last time that truck will see a poly tank on it. Here on out, it's stainless steel. If there's any residue in that, it'll take care of that kochia. That stuff, man. Whew. Oh! Anybody want any hay for some animals? I hear it's in short supply this year. I got a lot of kochia you guys could bale. I actually have a neighbor who's, I told him he's interested. He's gonna bring his swather over some of our pea ground that we didn't even harvest because the kochia's like this tall now in it. He's gonna swath a lot of it and run it through a silage machine and probably supplement that to his cattle. So, you know what? Why not? Free hay. Might not be premium, but when there's a drought everywhere and hay is hard to come by, gotta feed those animals somehow. Look at how green this grass is. Look at this. This is brown and crispy. One match would have lit this whole yard on fire, literally a month ago. Now it's just lush and green like it is in the spring. This hasn't happened in years, where this time of the year, it's this gorgeous out. It's just amazing me. Getting like 3.5 inches of rain in a matter of 2 weeks. This is why we bought that Terragator right here. Got one dent right there. We'll see if we can pull that out. I don't know how big the opening is, but maybe I could squeeze in there and get a hammer and beat it out. I don't know. That's small potatoes in the grand scheme. We went ahead and pulled everything off. Got the tank off. We'll wash it. I mean, maybe try to buff it a little bit. I don't know. Stainless steel is the way it is. So that's that. That's good. And then, of course, the Terragator's over here hanging out. Over there, and it looks awesome without anything on it. I'll try to do a burnout eventually here. We'll get to that. All the booms are sitting way over here. We're dealing with mud, which is honestly at this time awesome because it means winter wheat seeding. There's all the bands. There's all the valve assemblies, manifold, and then over here I've got the tank cradle. I'm going to pressure wash it off, get it as clean as I can because we don't want orange or yellow or whatever that is on Big Brute because Big Brute is white and black. So, gotta paint that black. And we only have a couple days to do it. So, get that cleaned up, wire brush it a little bit, get the paint out, get her nice and painted. But, we got some trimming on it to do, cut some stuff off. But it's actually gonna fit really well in Big Brute because that's a 34-inch wide frame. Big Brute's frame's 34 inches wide. It's like they were meant to be. So, plan. Wash everything down as good as we can at the moment. Brute's gonna come in here, cab facing this way, back end that way. We'll start disassembling everything because once that is in here and we take that cradle off, it can't drive because the hydraulic tank is part of that. And it can't run without the hydraulic because it'll run the pump dry. And I don't really feel like disconnecting the pump. So once it's in here, it'll stay. So we'll take all that off, the old unit, then we'll kind of clean up, mock, put this one on there. This is the cradle off the Terragator. Kind of just eyeball it, figure out where we're gonna mount it on. So we'll still make it so it can come off. We're not gonna weld to the frame, obviously. Then when we weld the brackets and get it bolted to Big Brute, how we like it, then we'll take the tank, put the tank on top of that, make sure the tank doesn't hit the fenders, because it's gonna get kind of close to those fenders over there. I'm not sure if it'll hit or not. Then when that's all good, we won't worry about any of the plumbing at that point, as long as it doesn't hit anything or in any way. Take the tank off, take that off, paint it black, paint all the straps black. Then we'll start the process of mounting the hydraulic tank to the side of Big Brute. And when that's all dried, we'll put that back on Big Brute permanently, bolt it down, get the tank, put it on, put the straps on, and then we gotta start all the plumbing. So all the suction line, agitation line, all that stuff's gotta be hooked in. And when that's said and done, then we can put the booms back on it. But there's more to it than just that. So you guys will see as we go, and I'm sure we're gonna run into problems. We're gonna be like, oh, didn't think about that. That always happens. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We'd love it. We'd love for you to be a part. So, smash that subscribe button, because that's what they always say. I don't really care. You can click it too. It's up to you. Thanks.
It is day 2, which means we need to start chopping on this, clean off a little bit of the tabs and stuff that we left on there, because I really did a great job of cutting off all the fenders and things, and I didn't do that great of a job. I really need to clean it up. So we're gonna prep this, get this ready, then we're gonna take the Big Brute, bring it in the shop, and we're gonna cut off the old frame, take the hydraulic tank off, and then once we get that taken care of, we're gonna mount this thing on, get it kind of where we want, figure it out, weld it all up and so forth, and kind of go through it. So it's quite a process we have to do. This isn't just a bolt and play. On some situations it can be, but most of it's a hot glue gun. So plasma cutter, cut them all off. Let's make it happen.
That's a little noisy in there. Oh man. Well, the Brute had time to dry off last night, so let's run her in the building. I'm gonna drive it in there, get it situated to where it won't move again until we get everything put back together. I think I'm gonna leave it right here. So when we take this apart, we're gonna leave the boom arms, whatever you call these, on here. We have them welded to the old frame, which we're gonna slice out the plasma cutter, cut that off. Then that whole frame will come off, but those will stay. But we gotta somehow lift the new frame and set it down on there. But that's gonna be tricky because these are gonna be in the way. Make sense? So I'm hoping we can use this door or this door to run something in sideways and lay it on top. So we'll see. But I'm gonna get to work starting to disassemble this thing. After looking at it closer, we decided we want to remove the rear fenders, and it's a lot easier to do that outside. So I'm gonna back it back out. We're gonna use the skid steer with the forks and get up underneath here, unbolt them all, and pull each fender off and set them down somewhere gently. And that way we'll just have the room we need to work around, because we got a lot of cut to do over here and welding them. They're in the way. There! You know, fenders are great and all, but no fenders looks way better. But also being able to look out your windows, not covered in mud, is way, way better. So we put the fenders on. But now we got room, that's good. This will really help.
All right, now what we did is we drained the tank and the hydraulics. So that way we can remove the tank, because that has to be in a different location. One thing we did is we had a funnel to the bottom of the tank to that big 55-gallon drum, and we took the plug out, and it just started dumping so fast that it was starting to overflow the tank. So I ran up on top real quick, put my hand on the vent so that way I can create a siphon and suction, and it slowed it down so it wouldn't just make a big mess on the floor, which we still made a mess on the floor, but you know, what can you do? Anyways, what we're gonna do here is we actually took the support for all the arms, the structure, and mounted it to the back of the truck. Well, we welded everything to this main beam right here, and we need to keep this because this is what supports your arms on your wings, or what do you want to call it. I need to cut this here so that this is separate from here. And then we got to go up in the front and cut some things, take the tank off, and then take the whole skid off. And then that way we can figure out the length that we need to cut the other skid for the stainless steel tank, and then get that on here and mock it up and get it to where we want it to sit. And once we get it figured out, then we can weld it up to the back support and secure it to the frame. But that being said, plasma time.
All right, yeah, we went overkill when we attached this thing. There's 6 bolts in the front of this thing that are big, with a lot of iron held together, and on the back we have another 6. We made sure this thing would never come apart, but it's coming apart, so I guess we failed there. The arms is finishing and detaching all the electronics and hydraulic lines to the hydraulic tank. As you can see, we have a big pile of wire here. That's all hydraulic lines and wiring to run the manifold, the valve bodies, I mean, on the booms themselves. Need that?
Not right now.
Okay. So, when that's all done, that's all disconnected, we should theoretically be able to lift the entire frame up, off, and get it out of here, take the hydraulic tank off. That tank is gonna go right here. We've already haven't mentioned that yet. It's not gonna look as cool being there, but it's a really practical place for it, and it's where it kind of was actually originally on the truck before we even started all this. So, my phone's ringing, 1 second.
That's not sketchy at all. At all. But it's off, that's all that matters, right? Safety first, guys, safety.
So what we're doing now, we're gonna mock that tank up on there. So we got the frame on it. It fits pretty good for what it is, honestly. I mean, had to trim a little bit back here like Arms said earlier, but you can see these brackets and they cradle it about perfect. So we got to build something here, a bolt to that, so that way it's anchored well. The backside here is gonna be welded to this frame, but we're just gonna put the tank on right now. This is just to see how it fits, and if we like what we see, then painting time. That's a little different look. Ignore the yellow. That's changing, remember? But that's different.